A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, we seek His forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and our evil deeds. Whoever Allah guides, there is none that can misguide him. Whoever Allah leads astray, there is none to guide him. I testify there is no God but Allah alone, without partners, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His most perfect worshipper and His final messenger. In this video, we will discuss consciousness and synchronicities. So during my psychedelic experiences, I've had many experiences in which I would call the universal download, where information is flowing or being downloaded to my mind. When I first experienced it, I called it the universal library. But through my studies of trip reports, I have heard people calling it the Akashic Records, which on Google it states in the religion of Theosophy and the philosophical school called Anthroposophy, the Akashic Records are a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred in the past, present, and future, in terms of all entities and life forms, not just human. So, as funny as it may sound, in one of my heroic doses of psilocybin mushrooms, I've had an experience where it felt like I've lived the life of a turtle. But that's not something I want to dive into right now, but that will be for a later series, which I will call Trip Reports from my own personal experiences. So moving on, what I find interesting about this is this might actually be the reason people say they remember past lives or whatnot, or concepts of reincarnation. But they probably somehow had access to Akashic Records by whatever means. But what's more interesting is, after I became Muslim, I discovered that in Islam we have something similar called the Preserved Tablet, which is the heavenly preserved record of all that has happened and will happen. It contains qadr, meaning fate or predestination, which is the concept of divine destiny in Islam. Like I said before in a previous video, it still blows my mind that my near-death experience was also a part of the qadr, meaning when God created me, He knew everything I was going to do long before I was even born. That fateful day was decreed by Allah when He wrote the entire destiny of the creation. And this may be a bit controversial or even a bit taboo, but when it comes to psychedelics, as Terence McKenna said, particularly with mushrooms, there is a voice, and he called it the voice of the teacher. And there is a strain of mushrooms called golden teachers, and I'll say this, they don't call it that for no reason. And I know it sounds like symptoms of schizophrenia and whatnot, but first, let's hear what Terence has to say about this, because he can explain it better than I can. And if you're someone who knows me, you know how much I used to talk about Terence McKenna, and in Islamic terms, I took this man as my prophet at one point in time. But here is what he has to say about that voice and psychedelics.
People who have never taken hallucinogenic drugs but have some mild interest in it, or just in the course of generally educating yourself about reality, I think people who have never taken psychedelics think that it's sort of like dreaming while you're awake, or geometric patterns, colors. They always say, the colors, malarkey, the colors, forget the colors. It is not like that. Psychedelic experiences at effective doses, not piddling doses, effective doses, are visionary scenarios. They are three-dimensional unfoldments of information that is extraordinarily complex, architectonically connected, and ordered. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what is unique to psilocybin. What is unique to psilocybin is that overlaid over what I just described is, big surprise, a voice. A voice. Everybody knows this who has to do with this stuff. Gordon Wasson, Richard Schultes, Albert Hoffman, the giants know that this stuff is animate. This is not a drug. It's something which is disguising itself as a drug in order not to spread alarm. There is a voice which speaks to you in the language of your homeland, whether that be Mazatecan or English, and the voice surprises you. In other words, you cannot anticipate it. Now, of course, at this point, though I don't imagine many of them have forced their way in here, the psychological school will come forward and say, well, it's a voice typical of mental aberration, symptom 1 of schizophrenia, a voice. Yes, we are not naive. We went to the same schools you did, thank you. If we are in fact being penetrated by a non-human intelligence that presumably somehow, perhaps not physically, but perhaps physically, can cross from star to star, then we are dealing with something vastly more sophisticated than ourselves. That's just given at the get-go. Well, if it's vastly more advanced than we are, then DNA sequencing, complete understanding of the molecular genesis of thought, so forth and so on, would be no problem for that level of technical sophistication.
Moving on, a quote from Nikola Tesla reads, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." In Islam, we know where the source of everything comes from, the good and the bad. It was all ordained by God. So even if the devil whispers and invites you to evil through your own consciousness, it was by the will of Allah as a test. So if you're a Muslim with adequate knowledge about your deen, I'm confident that you can fill in the gaps. And the video I'm about to show you might help you understand what I mean, and somehow all of this was made clear to me through my psychedelic experiences. It may seem like I'm glorifying them, but you have to understand that these substances were a huge part of my life and in understanding these spiritual concepts. But here goes.
When Nikola Tesla was in his late 80s, very old, and he was given a big awards dinner in New York where the world was thanking him for all the incredible things that he had given to the world. And he said, Nikola Tesla spoke to the audience, and he said, "I have to tell you how I got my ideas to do what I've done." He said, "Every evening before bed, your brain as a human has nothing to do with your creativity, with your ideas and your understanding of things. The brain is designed to do only one thing and one thing only. It is to control the mechanisms of your body. It controls the electrical impulses that go to your muscles so that you can walk, so you can run, so you can climb. It controls your body's muscles. It controls the movement of the human body. It controls the blinking of the eye, the swallowing of water. It controls everything in your body. It's nothing more than a controlling mechanism for your human body. But when it comes to your imagination, your creativity, the ideas and concepts that come out of you, we have, as scientists, no idea in the world where your spiritual perceptions come from, where your thoughts come from. We have no idea at all. All that we know is it has nothing to do with your brain. Your brain does not give you inspiration. It merely takes care of your body. And so, therefore, where do your thoughts come from? When the great composers were composing the beautiful music, where do those ideas for the music come from? When you get people who are writing profoundly important books, and we say they were truly inspired, well, we know it wasn't in their mind. It came from outside of their brain, So it implies that our inspiration is we are being overshadowed, is the term that I use. Overshadowed by some kind of a higher intelligence in the universe. Something out there is feeding us information, and it's called inspiration. We are being inspired. And some people are just naturally pick up on inspiration from out there, wherever it comes from, and they can create beautiful music, beautiful art. They can design rockets. They can design lasers, televisions, all kinds of strange and wonderful imaginations in the human mind, but it does not come from your brain. It comes from out there. And so when you listen to the composers of music, you can tell they were inspired. They didn't just read it out of a book. If you understand what they were doing, they're not just picking sounds that sound nice. No, it was mathematical. It was very deep understanding of the creation of the universe, the breathing in and the breathing out of the universe. It had to do with an occult, heavy-duty science of vibrations, rhythms, and how and they could change the whole concept of a nation by music. I mean, the Germans used the music from Wagner, and it inspired, and America has music that inspires the nation because there is some kind of a mathematical science to it. There's a science to putting music together. And of course, in Hollywood, you have what is called programmed music. In a movie, when something evil is going to happen, you get a certain kind of music. When something is going to be funny and silly and to be laughed at, you get that kind of music behind it. So it's programming your mind with music, so that you are inspired to get the idea out of the movie. So inspiration is not part of what the brain does. Inspiration comes from outside the brain. I believe that the human family, the human people on the earth, their brains are a computer, where it's an incredible computer. It's alive, and that computer runs on wiring. And we're told that our blood vessels and our nerves are miles and miles of nerve endings in our body. That's the wiring for the computer to all the body, to control the body. The brain needs to be able to send messages out to certain nerves for you to do certain things. And so the brain is a computer, and I believe that what we call God is some kind of for a lack of a better term, some sort of a Wi-Fi unit. You can have 100 different computers in a room, and they're all on one Wi-Fi unit, which means all 100 computers can be doing 100 different things, tuning into different places and doing different things, and they're all getting it from one source, from a Wi-Fi unit. And so something is guiding our destiny. Something out there is guiding our thinking. And if you've ever seen a flock of birds, large flocks of birds with thousands of birds, and you see them all flying in one direction, and then instantly, in an absolute 1 second instant, they all turn, all the birds turn and go a different way. And they all then flip back and turn and go a different way. How come all of the birds knew to turn at that very 1 second point, and they all turned and went a different way together, like the fish do? We call it schools of fish. And I've seen it where the fish are thousands of fish, and they're all sailing along together, and instantly, all of a sudden, they all go in a different direction. How is that possible? One incredible story about how the brain communicates with the heavens, and the heavens communicate with you. And we know that the planets and the sun and the moon affects your brain. And the planets all have a resonant frequency, and each one of those planets, when you were born, affected your mind. When you were born, you came out of your mother, into the world, and the sun has a profound electrical field on the earth that is causing incredible stuff to happen. Our weather, the moon affects people. It affects the female. It affects her periods once a month is caused by the moon. The moon pulls the oceans of the world. We know that the moon affects the oceans. Why? Because they're water, and the moon affects water. And this is why your body is like 76% water. So how does the moon affect you at the full moon? Well, it causes you to get silly and crazy, sometimes really crazy. So we call you a lunatic. Why? Because the moon is affecting your blood. It's affecting your brain. The vibrations in your mind are being affected by the sun, the moon, Mars, Jupiter. And so women are from Venus and men are from Mars, meaning our minds operate differently because of the way we're born and who we are and the vibrations in the brain. It's a very big subject about inspiration. And the inspiration comes from out there. When Nikola Tesla was in his late 80s, very old man, he was given a big awards dinner in New York where the world was thanking him for all the incredible things that he had given to the world. And he said, Nikola Tesla spoke to the audience, and he said, I have to tell you how I got my ideas to do what I've done. He said, every evening before bed, I will put a notepad on the little table next to my bed with a pen or a pencil. And he said, and every morning when I wake up, there's a written invention on the pad. Somebody comes into my room at night and writes down an invention. And the next morning I get up and it's all written out for me. And so I just go to my laboratory and follow the instructions, and I invented radio, or I invented alternating current, or I made this invention or that invention. And today, Nikola Tesla has lit the world and given us radio and all kinds of wonderful things this man gave to the world. But he said he was inspired by someone writing it down when he was sleeping. And so that's inspiration. To inspire comes from the word spire, to like perspire, inspire. And so spire is to breathe together. Breathing is spire. And so someone was breathing into him their ideas and coming from somewhere else. So that was one point I wanted to make about inspiration, is it doesn't necessarily come from you, it comes from out there.
I would also advise you to do research on how Carl Jung even came up with the concept of synchronicity. It's quite an interesting story, but I'm not going to cover that. I want you to figure that out on your own, actually.
Have you ever had something happen to you that didn't seem like a regular coincidence? It felt like it had a special purpose or meaning behind it, like it was trying to tell you something important. The world is much more than what you can see with your eyes alone. There are many things beyond your physical senses that can have an impact on you. Many people believe that the universe can communicate with you in various ways, not just through your eyes, but through intuition, feelings, signs, and even what you might call coincidences or synchronicities. According to Carl Jung, synchronicities are not merely random chance occurrences. Instead, they carry deeper meaning. They are like meaningful moments or events that happen in your life, seemingly connected in a way that goes beyond conventional explanations. It is difficult to define, but can be understood as a meaningful coincidence. It's different from regular coincidences because it has a deeper meaning or purpose. When synchronicity happens, it's a signal that something important is going on in your life. You have to figure out what it means, as it's up to you to interpret its message. So it's like a meaningful sign that you shouldn't ignore. Synchronicity is about how your feelings, thoughts, and dreams are connected to what happens in the world around you. Carl Jung thought that what you think and feel can actually influence the events in your life. For instance, if you're going through a tough time with something, and then you unexpectedly meet someone who helps you with that problem, it could be seen as synchronicity. It's like the universe is trying to tell you something in response to how you feel inside. So, your inner world and the outside world are connected in a special way. Carl Jung said, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." When you explore life more deeply, you start to see a magical connection between your thoughts, actions, and the world around you. Synchronicity is like the universe's gentle guidance, nudging you towards your destined path. It can be a soft whisper in your ear, a feeling in your heart, or a surprising meeting that leaves you amazed. Even though these encounters may seem random, they carry deep meaning. It shows you that there's more to your experiences than meets the eye, and it opens you up to the wonders of the universe. Life can be puzzling when things happen in ways you don't understand, and you might think it's just a coincidence. However, Albert Einstein once said, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." This holds a deep truth. The universe is on your side, and it shows you hints of its magnificent plan through synchronicities. When you take a moment to think about it, you realize how everything is connected, and the universe carefully arranges each step in your journey, guiding you towards your true purpose in life. These meaningful events are like signposts, showing you that you are not alone, and there's a greater force at play, helping you find your path. Every action you take, every person you meet, every challenge you face, and every choice you make have an impact on the world around you. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples spread out and affect everything they touch. According to Jung, we are all connected in a vast network that creates a sense of universal completeness, and this realization goes beyond just a mental understanding. It's a profound spiritual awakening. Synchronicity, for Jung, is similar to dreams, as it serves to shift your conscious thinking and help you connect with this greater universal awareness. Although Jung acknowledges that coincidences can happen, he also emphasizes that some of these coincidences are so incredibly significant and improbable that they are difficult to explain by chance alone. These meaningful coincidences, or synchronicities, should not be ignored. Instead, Jung encourages you to pay close attention to them, as they carry deeper messages and insights about your life and the world around you. If you have a dream about someone one night and then meet them the next day, you should wonder why this is happening. What does it mean? And what message is it trying to tell you? This goes beyond the material world, and it implies a deeper and unseen order in the universe. There might be a purpose and order behind it all that you can't fully understand, and it's fascinating to ponder these mysteries. At times, the rhythm of life may seem chaotic and unpredictable, but deep within the chaos lies a hidden order that only your soul can perceive. Synchronicity, in those small and special moments, reveals the secrets of the universe. It's like a window into the cosmic design, showing you that there's more to life than meets the eye. Deepak Chopra said, "There are no accidents. There is only some purpose that we haven't yet understood." This wisdom reminds us that every seemingly coincidental event, every unexpected meeting, and every fortunate occurrence has a purpose that may not be immediately clear to you. It encourages you to be open-minded, to see beyond the surface, and to believe that there is a greater plan at play, guiding you towards your highest fulfillment. Synchronicity often shows itself in the magical moments of serendipity, meaning finding something good without looking for it. When you stay present in the present moment and let go of trying to control everything, the universe surprises you with wonderful gifts. These gifts may come in the form of unexpectedly meeting an old friend, discovering a life-changing book, or stumbling upon a quote or video that deeply touches your soul. Rumi captured this serendipitous nature of life in a powerful way. He said, What you seek is seeking you. Rumi's words remind you that the universe is working to bring you what you desire, even when you are not actively seeking it. When you embrace serendipity, you realize that the universe is on your side and is guiding you towards your dreams and wishes, even in the most surprising ways. So if you pay attention to synchronicity, it can help you make important decisions and take big steps in life. One area where it really matters is in your relationships with others. Have you ever met someone by chance and it turned into a meaningful friendship or opportunity? Maybe you talked to someone at a networking event or struck up a conversation with a stranger at a coffee shop, and that led to something important in your life. That's how synchronicity can work. Your intuition also plays a big role in recognizing and following synchronicities. Sometimes your gut tells you to do something unusual, like talk to a stranger or accept an invitation. When you listen to your intuition and act on those feelings, it can lead to powerful synchronistic events that shape your life in incredible ways. So it's essential to be open to these moments and trust your instincts. They can lead you to extraordinary opportunities and connections with others. So my friend, synchronicity invites you to be more open-minded and receptive to the mysteries of life so that you can see the world through a different lens. It encourages you to explore the idea that there might be a greater purpose and intelligence guiding your experiences. Embracing synchronicity can lead to a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things and a sense of wonder about the hidden forces shaping your life.
And to finish this video, I will give you an example of synchronicity after I became a Muslim to give you an idea of how God guides us through these outward experiences and internal consciousness. And this synchronicity happened in my first week as a Muslim. The first experience of synchronicity I remember was when I was walking to the store in my slippers and I stepped on a small nail and a little bit of it went up my foot, and I immediately removed it and I noticed there were a few more nails on the floor facing upward. So I picked up those nails and disposed of it. I wasn't even mad at the fact that I stepped on the nail, because at this point I already know that everything happens by the will of Allah, that it was written that I would step on that nail. And I swear by Allah that the moment I went home and opened up my Instagram, the first 2 posts I see are hadiths. The first hadith was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Removing harmful things from the road is an act of charity." Al-Bukhari. And the second hadith that follows, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No calamity befalls a Muslim, but that Allah expiates some of his sins because of it, even though it were the prick he receives from a thorn." Sahih al-Bukhari. So with that in mind, substitute the thorn for the nail. At this point, I was new to Islam, so I had no idea what hadiths even are, let alone its authenticity and grading of hadith. And I've already experienced countless synchronicities with psychedelics, and through the experience of synchronicity with the nail, I understood that this is how God guides someone. This is how He taught me the validity of hadith. And I didn't even know that removing something harmful from the road is an act of charity. So from that experience, Allah also taught me more about fitrah, which is part of doing the right thing, even without having prior knowledge that it is the right thing to do. And through that nail experience, He also taught me that there is a blessing in every misfortune, as long as we remain patient. And patience is not how long you wait for something, but rather it is how well you behave while you are waiting. So if you're sitting there complaining the whole time while you're waiting for something, then know that you don't actually have any patience. And the more you complain, Allah will give you more things to complain about. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Best of luck out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.